Hello and welcome to Byjus Exam Prep IAS. Before we start with our today's analysis, a quick gentle reminder. Byjus Exam Prep IAS on its Telegram channel has launched one of the initiative called as the Political Thinkers and Ideas. As part of this initiative, today's video upload would be with respect to Mahatma Gandhi. Please do join our Telegram channel so that you get all the current affairs related updates. Let's get started and look into the first article. The first article says a blow for dignity. This article here is speaking about the conversion therapy. Let us try and understand what is this article all about. First, we have to understand the meaning of the LGBT community. Who are the people belonging to the LGBT community? Let's say we have the lesbians. Who is a lesbian? It is a girl who happens to like another girl. Then we have gays who happen to be section of people who are men who like men, and at the same time we have bisexuals as well. These are the section of people who like both the genders, and finally what we have is the transgenders. These are the people who don't identify with the sex assigned at birth, and at the same time all these people have a different sex orientation. So what is conversion therapy all about? It is sometimes called as the reparative therapy or gay cure therapy. Tries to change someone's sexual orientation or gender identity. If there is a man who is liking another man, if there is a girl liking another girl, or there are people who like both men and women, they have a specific sex orientation according to the normal society, according to the parents of these people, according to the near and dear ones of these people. These people are not normal. They have to change their thought process. So putting them under some quacks so that their minds are changed is what is called as the conversion therapy. So basically it is about suppressing someone from being a gay or a lesbian and making sure that they do not think different to the gender that they are assigned at the time of birth. So whatever is the gender that they are assigned at the time of birth, they have to be the same. They cannot have a sex orientation different to what is originally assigned. So bringing in this thought process change is what is called as the conversion therapy. This can include taking therapies and prayer, extreme exorcism, physical violence as well, and at the same time these people can be put through food deprivation as well. So quacks who basically believe that in the name of science and faith they would promise to change the sexual orientation of this community is what is called as the conversion therapy. So what is conversion therapy? It is about changing the thought of the LGBT community and what is society believing in, bringing them back to the society standards is called as the conversion therapy. Why are we discussing this? That is because we have the Madras High Court which observed in S. Sushma versus Commissioner of Police 2021 that there are many branches on the tree of life. There is no one way to be, and there is no room for everyone to be who they are. This particular judgment clearly prohibited the conversion therapy in the state of Tamil Nadu in case there are medical so-called experts or quacks who are engaging in this conversion therapy. Such should be stopped immediately, and if the license is so given by the state government, such a license should be immediately withdrawn, says the Madras High Court. What are the concerns that are associated with the conversion therapy? We have the Supreme Court of India which delivered the landmark judgment in Navtej Singh Johar and others versus the Union of India. According to this particular judgment, it started identifying people as individuals who have their own set of their rights, dignity to their life, responsibility in their life, love for their own life, irrespective of the sexual orientation. Earlier, you had only two genders. One is the male, the other happens to be the female. The third is what is called as the other gender, the third gender. So they would be able to have whatever sex orientation that they would want to prefer. So irrespective of what the societal standards are, in case they feel that they want to orient or have a thought process which is different, the Supreme Court with this particular landmark judgment also provided dignity to this third gender as well. So basically it decriminalized this entire process of homosexuality. When we speak about this whole conversion therapy that is happening, what exactly happens? This happens to be a dangerous trend that is being set across multiple countries. It is not only in India, it has happened in United Kingdom as well. It has happened in United States of America as well. It is happening in India as well. And in India, there have been as many as 5 to 6 states which have also seen such examples of conversion therapy. If we look at the example from United Kingdom, a study by the UN's independent expert on gender violence and discrimination found that a shocking 98% of those who undergo such therapy experiences have lasting damage, including depression, anxiety, permanent physical harm, and loss of faith in the humanity. There have been ample of examples in the state of Goa where people have committed suicide. Why? That is because when they go through this conversion therapy, they are made to believe that they are not human beings, that they have a different orientation, they are made to abhor themselves, and it is at this particular backdrop they feel that they are not right for the society, and they have also committed suicides as well. So they are snatching away their own life without living the life that the society has set for them. So this basically means that there is a barbaric conversion therapy which consists of different types of methods. This includes correctional rape, exorcism, forceful starving, electrocution, shock therapy, lobotomy, marriage therapy, and all these includes that ultimately these people go by the societal standards, not by what they have as an independent thought process. So basically, a conversion therapy makes sure that when a person is put through all this, that he gets depressed, anxiety increases, there is permanent physical harm, loss of faith, and ultimately that person loses himself as well. If we look at the current legislation, what we have is the Mental Health Care Act. The Mental Health Care Act in itself does not speak about this. So going forward, this article currently goes on to say that this should also be identified in case there are people who are put through this conversion therapy. Such should be barred, and if they are going through some depression, they should be able to come out of it. So the mental health care should also identify as well. As of now, do we have any law? No, we do not have any law as of now. We have only the Supreme Court judgment which has decriminalized section 377 of the Indian Penal Code, and this actually allows the consensual homosexual sex as well. And at the same time, as of now, in case there is any issue to do with conversion therapy, it is only civil liability that we have. So this article suggests, so if it is only civil liability, this provision will continue to be present. So going forward, what we require is the criminal liability. So if a person is engaging in such an activity, such person should be penalized and should be thrown behind bars. So if we have quacks or those who call themselves expert in bringing about a change in the thought process of such community people, such licenses should be immediately cancelled. As of now, there is civil liability available. Going forward, if this has to be stopped, what we require is the criminal liability. So throw them behind bars so that it sets as an example and others do not continue to do so, says this article. So what are the recommendations given under this article? We have the National Medical Commission, the apex regulatory body of medical professionals in India, which has recently directed all state medical councils to ban conversion therapy under the Indian Medical Council Professional Conduct Etiquette and Ethics Regulation of 2022. So the need of the hour is to enact a stringent, effective, devoted piece of legislation that will outlaw the odious practice of conversion therapy. So basically, this includes imposing professional sanctions against the medical practitioners, those who engage in the conversion therapy, considering that this is harmful, pseudoscientific, unethical nature. Banning this has to be taken to immediate effect. Since this involves physical abuse, food deprivation, homophobic slurs as well against such a person, it should be banned immediately from this effect, says this article. We also have the international examples as well. State and national level laws against the practice have already been passed in several countries, including Germany, Canada, Malta, Australia, and United States of America. India must also implement suggestions of the Madras High Court and follow the footsteps of these nations is what is this article all about. So basically, what are we speaking about? We are speaking about dignity to an individual, irrespective of what a person chooses to, as long as he is not doing anything illegal, he has his particular sex orientation. It is not for the society to set the standards, it is for that individual to live the right in his own way within the contours of the legality. So dignity of an individual is a grand promise that is promised by the constitution of the country. So irrespective of the caste, creed, gender or sexual orientation, this dignity of life should be given to those people who are from the LGBT community. So hence this conversion therapy should be duly criminalized and effectively eliminated from the public is what is this article all about. It is this that we have to understand with respect to this article. Now let's look into the next article. This article says positioning India in a chaotic world. Let us try and understand what is this article in brief. We have the SEO meeting. We would not be discussing about the SEO. Why? That is because we already have a video about SEO which we have recorded in our explain series last week. All that you have to go is look into that video to understand everything about the SEO. So we would not be discussing about the SEO. Recently we also had the head of the state visiting the SEO in Samarkand. We also had the Samarkand declaration as well, and Samarkand declaration is closely associated with SEO. There were multiple things that came as an outcome from the SEO, but one thing that we have to identify as per this article and the author is what is called as the non-alignment principle to what is called as the multi-agreement principle. So this article currently goes on to say that India, which is always believed in non-alignment, an aspect of non-alignment which is multi-agreement or multi-alignment, multi-engagement is what India is catering to. So India in the near future will have to come up with its own share of guidelines for the future so that it does not face any kinds of trouble when it comes to the foreign policy. Let us try and understand what is the author trying to convey. When India is part of the SEO, what exactly happens? In SEO, whom do we have? We have Russia. Whom do we have? We have China as well. Whom do we have? We also have Pakistan as well. Forget Pakistan for a moment. Whom do we have majorly? It is Russia and China. India is also part of Quad as well. Whom do we have in Quad? We have United States of America. We have Australia as well. We also have Japan. When you consider India, what has India been able to do? It is part of Quad. It is also part of SEO as well. In this particular point, what is India trying to show? We are not with the West completely. We are not with Russia and China completely. Whatever is advantageous for us at that particular moment, we would be joining that particular force. This is what is called as non-alignment. So when we speak about non-alignment, initially when Jawaharlal Nehru came up with it, what was non-alignment? It is also alignment to oppose all those alignments from forming the superpower. So if we speak about non-alignment movement from the historical picture, it has its own share of advantages. What are the advantages? One, when you have the non-alignment movement, when did it come into picture? We have the Soviet Union on one side, we also have the United States of America on the one side. So what we had was a tussle between the two superpowers. So non-alignment basically means we will not align with any of these superpowers. Instead, what is good for us? We will take a part from Soviet Union. We will also extract some information from United States of America. So we are not going to rely either on Soviet Union or on United States of America. So Jawaharlal Nehru said non-alignment movement is alignment to oppose those alignments from forming the superpower. Then this ultimately encouraged the process of democratization as well. This particular non-alignment movement supported a fight against colonialism and it was also against war as well. So non-alignment initially when India started off, which was a major component of its India's foreign policy, now goes on to become multi-agreement, multi-alignment as well. So we will be with SEO, we will also be with Quad as well. There we were not with any of the powers, but here we will be with all this, and we will continue to extract some advantages from both the groups. Now the important question is, we are with Quad, we are also with SEO as well. These two blocks have their own share of friction. Will we be able to continue with all this relationship? So the author goes on to say, the first test that India would have when it comes to continuing and managing all this relationship is with respect to Iran. What is the major issue with respect to Iran? We have the United States of America, which has imposed sanctions on Iran. It has also said that if India plans to enter into any trade agreement or have any economic relationship, in that particular case what we will impose is economic sanctions even on India as well. This is what United States of America says. What we have to understand at this particular backdrop is, we recently had the SEO. After the SEO, we had the Iranian head of the state who also said that he wants to have some economic trade with India and also want to have negotiations with India. Will India say yes or no to this? Is in right now at the court of India, is what is the author trying to say. If India continues with Iran, it has advantages. How? One, we would be able to import fuel at a cheaper price. What we will also have access is to the Chabahar port as well. With this particular access, what we will be able to penetrate is to Afghanistan and ultimately connect to Central Asia as well. But if we listen to United States of America, what we will have is sanctions. So the first thing that India has at its fourth step is, we have to decide whether we have to speak to Iran. Start off with the economic relationship once again is what we have to focus on. Added to it, the author also goes on to say that when it comes to foreign relationship, we have two types of foreign policy. One is what is called as the active foreign policy. The other is what is called as the passive foreign policy. The author in this case goes on to say that of late India has what is called as the passive foreign policy. What is this foreign policy all about? When we speak about passive policy, let me give you an example. We have United Arab Emirates which had engaged with Israel. We also have the Abraham Accords as well, where United States of America was mediating between Israel as well as United Arab Emirates. We have Saudi Arabia. What is Saudi Arabia doing here? It is not directly engaging with Israel, but it is indirectly engaging with Israel, and it is also meeting its goals as well. This is what is called as passive foreign policy. They are not directly engaged, they do not have to directly communicate, they do not issue any press conferences as such, they do not speak about what has been the positive outcome, so on and so forth, but they engage. This the world community will not know, and they are not actively participant when it comes to the foreign policy. So right now when it comes to India, what we also have is what is called as the passive foreign policy. How does the author say so? He takes the example of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. What does the author say? The author says ideally, who was the aggressor? It is Russia, and in this particular point, because it is Russia, India should have voted against Russia. But what did India do? India did not vote against Russia. Instead, it abstained from voting in the United Nations on the Ukraine issue. Ideally, it should have been active, it should have supported this particular cause, but instead it kept quiet and remained passive. So the author says, as of now, what India is going through is called as the passive policy. So India in the near future will have to refashion India's foreign policy and will also have to be active and create a major overhaul about how it interprets regional and international tensions, is what is the author trying to convey. The other aspects the author is trying to speak about is, one is with respect to China, the other is with respect to Russia and China. India will have to continue its relationship with China. India cannot actually completely say that it does not want to have any relationship with China. Why? That is because as of now, China may have economic superiority, but in the near future, India will have the economic superiority. At that particular point, whatever India says, the world will listen. China may also listen, says the author. So continue to have the relationship, because we do have the territorial issues as well. But even before the territorial issue, what we have had is establishment of the civilizational value system. What we currently have is issues with China, but there'll be a point where India will have the economic superiority. At that particular moment, every country will listen to India, and at that particular moment, China may also listen to India, says the author. India will also have to closely look at Russia as well as China's relationship as well. Why? Because India is not able to have any relationship with any country because it has multi alignment. When you look at United Kingdom, when you look at United States of America, they have a clear cut ideology. If you speak about Russia and China, they also have a clear cut ideology. They are against the West. But what is India having? It is not against the West, it is not against Russia. So if there is a tussle between the West as well as Russia and China, so Russia and China will come together. That's an advantage for them, and India will have no place between this. So the author says, come up with a clear ideology and ensure that how are you going to plan the near future. This is bound to hit us. This is bound to happen in the near future. So come up with a clear cut guidelines for the foreign policy is another recommendation. Finally, what we have to look at is the nuclear dimension. When we speak about nuclear dimension, what are we speaking about? We are speaking about two neighbors who have the nuclear missiles. One is Pakistan, the other happens to be China. And when we speak about India's nuclear policy, what we have is the no first use policy. Only if a nuclear country attacks us, then we will attack for the second time. That is, after we are hit, we will attack, is what is our nuclear policy. This may not be right according to the author. So he says India cannot afford to ignore that we have a western neighbor which also has the nuclear missiles. We also have our northeastern neighbor, the northern neighbor, which is China, which also has the nuclear weapons. So India has to reconsider its nuclear policy, and the goals for the future is what is this article all about. It is this that we have to understand with respect to this article. Now let's look into the next article. This article says talking governor. The article here is speaking about issues between the governor of Kerala and the chief minister of Kerala. To put it out in brief, this article is about two constitutional bodies. We have the governor, which happens to be one of the constitutional bodies. Then what we also have is the chief minister, which happens to be another constitutional body. The chief minister and the cabinet, in fact all the executive, is elected. So it has the voice of the people and they would be able to get things done as well. What we also have is the governor. The governor is appointed by the central government. Yes, the role of the governor is very important. It is a constitutional office and it keeps a check on the chief minister as well as the cabinet. However, when it comes to any issues between the governor and the chief minister, they have to sort it out amicably. But in this particular case of Kerala, there were issues with respect to appointment in the Kannur University. As a result, what exactly happened? We had the governor who came out and then he issued in the press conference some of the statements which was completely against another constitutional office. So this article in a nutshell goes on to say that if the governor is present, we also have the chief minister, we also have the cabinet and the government. The government is elected by the people, so the cabinet is elected by the people, so they have an upper hand. But then the governor has to check, he also has the responsibility to check what is happening within the cabinet as well as the government. So if he has any issues, such should be sorted out within internally, and this should not come out in the general public. They should not have a tug of war in the open, is what is this article in nutshell. You don't have to go through this entire article. All that you have to remember is that there has been an issue between the governor as well as the cabinet headed by the chief minister. So there have been issues as well. Whatsoever is the issue, the governor should not actually come out, voice out his opinion, but instead this has to be settled amicably because the chief minister heading the cabinet is elected by the people of that state. Now let's look into the next practice question. Reforms and the task of getting teachers on board. The article here is speaking about major reforms that the Andhra Pradesh government is planning to bring when it comes to the school education system. What are the reforms that the Andhra Pradesh government is planning to come up with when it comes to the education sector? They are basically looking at changing the medium of instruction. Why? That is because as of now, when you consider the government schools, it is happening in the Telugu medium. This will be eventually changed to the English medium as well. Why? Because there are loads of job opportunities in English. So people who have been studying in Telugu medium, they would be given an assistance so that they also learn English as well. So apart from Telugu medium that they'll have, they will be given a push, they'll be nudged, they'll be encouraged so that they would be able to learn in English, because English provides multiple job opportunities. And to make this effective, what they are planning to bring is a change in the syllabus as well as in the curriculum, for which they will consult number of educationists, number of international universities, several people as well, and in consultation with them, what they will change is the syllabus so that people can also change. Added to it, what we have to look at is we have the midday meal scheme program that the government of respective states are running. So whatever is provided in addition to that, more proteinous food will also provided as well, and they will also be provided with more free school supplies like the books and the uniforms. And finally, the school level infrastructure will also be changed, the classrooms will also be revamped, clean running water will be provided, toilets will be established, and lastly, there will also be skill development centers across the state. The most important factor is with respect to teachers as well. So when you are speaking everything about the infrastructure, you're also speaking about students as well. One thing that we also require is these teachers to also change as well, because it is the teachers who are imparting the education. They also require skill upgradation. So skill upgradation to the teachers will also be taken up. So it is at this particular point whether teachers are going to the schools or not. How do we know about it? Generally, when it comes to the government school, there is a large scale absenteeism as well, and at the same time, they may sign in the books and they may not even come to schools as well. In order to prevent it, what they have come up with is called as the new app based attendance system, which happens to be a pilot project that was rolled out by the government in August in state run schools, and teachers will have to be present in the schools while recording their attendance, and these will be recorded as per the longitude and the latitude of the place where they are present. Added to it, we also have attendance, which is sent to the officials by the SMS. Parents will also receive SMS updates on the child's arrival and departure. All this is bound to make this entire structure of education reform successful. However, there are few teachers who are not happy with it, because they say that the internet penetration is not there. They would not be able to download the application, for which you have the minister who has promised that he would be providing with more internet connectivity in the villages as well as the tribal habitations. It is this that we have to understand with respect to this article. Now let's look into the next article. This article here is speaking about the International Day of Peace. The International Day of Peace is celebrated every year on 21st September by the United Nations. On this day, the UN sends invites to nations and people to honor a cessation of hostilities during the day, also to commemorate the day through education and public awareness on issues related to peace. This day is also called as the World Peace Day. As part of the assignment, you have to put on the comment section what is the theme for the year 2022. So we have themes that are released every year by the United Nations for this day, that is the International Day of Peace. What is it for 2022? Please put it on the comment section. The idea behind observing International Day of Peace is to strengthen the ideals of peace by observing 24 hours of non-violence and ceasefire. The day promotes global solidarity to build a peaceful and sustainable world for future generations. The focus of the theme was to help everyone build resilience to recover better, transform the world into a place which is much more just, equal, equitable, inclusive, sustainable, and healthier. And in the digital age, the day also aims to celebrate peace by standing up against acts of hate online and offline. So, what is the significance of International Day of Peace? It basically observes a period of non-violence and ceasefire. It aims to create jobs, build resilience towards crimes, and reduce emissions for lowering climate impacts. And at the same time, it also fosters dialogue, collect ideas to build a peaceful world. What are the challenges of keeping peace? What we have seen is a global unrest and wars. We have been seeing wars everywhere. Russian invasion of Ukraine. What we have is issues with respect to Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. We have had multiple issues around the world as well. What we also have is refugee crisis. What we also have is geopolitical hegemony, the friction between the West and Russia. All these are the major challenges that is hurting the global community. It is this that we have to understand with respect to the International Day of Peace. Now let's look into the next article. This article says Southwest monsoons begins early, withdrawal in Rajasthan. The article here is speaking about a retreating monsoons. We already have a video which has been recorded for the same. The link will be given. Kindly look into it. Now let's look into the mains practice questions. What do you understand by conversion therapy? Should it be criminalized? Examine. The governor of a state wears two hats and therefore dilemmas have arisen in practice. Comment. So please write all your answers on the comment section. Peer review. In case you wish to upload an image, you can also visit our website and upload your answers as well. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.